Let's take a moment and talk about DC's continuity. I've seen a lot of confusion on this app when it comes down to DC's current continuity. Whether that being misinformation, misleading, or misinterpretation, not all the facts are being delivered correctly. In this video, I'm going to simply break down to you guys exactly what is canon and what is not canon in the DC universe. A lot of this confusion all stems from Dark Knight's Death Metal issue number 7, in which it is stated, all history, all stories will be remembered and set once and for all. Now, some people interpreted this as all the DC stories that has happened are now canon to the mainstream DC universe, which is incorrect. And some people interpret this as they remember those stories, but they did not happen for those characters, which is also incorrect. I want to give credit where credit's due to Grayson, one of the content creators on this app, who created this DC continuity map that was used by Abyss in one of his videos. Basically, how DC's continuity works is that everything from post-crisis onwards is the current canon for the mainstream Earth Zero DC characters. This means that post-crisis history, which includes Silver Age, Bronze Age, and Modern Era, New 52, and Rebirth are all canon to the main DC characters. Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, etc. The Golden Age stories for those characters are not canon to them. However, here's the confusion, the Golden Age is canon to the main DC universe, with the Justice Society and characters like Jay Garrick or Alan Scott. Well, let's take a moment and look at some examples of how the New 52, Silver Age, Bronze Age, Modern Era, all of it being referenced in the current continuity. We see in Cyborg issue number 1, Cyborg gives a brief recap about his life. In this, we see him reference the New 52 origin as his origin, and then joining as a founding member of the Justice League. And then we see him reference joining the Teen Titans. This is an example of both the New 52 and the Silver Age being referenced for Cyborg's history. In Superman issue number 7, we see a brief recap of Superman's history with Lex Luthor, whether it be post-crisis, Silver Age, Rebirth, or current continuity. In the same issue, we see the same thing done with Brainiac, Silver Age stories, Modern Era, Rebirth, and everything in between. In the climax to Gotham War that just finished, Batman references the 3 Jokers, not the Black Label story, but rather the reference to Justice League issue number 50, which is a New 52 story, which references Batman and Green Lantern talking about there being 3 Jokers. Recently in Green Arrow issue number 5, while being thrown through time, Green Arrow pops out during the modern era of DC Comics in the early 2000s and meets himself from that era, and even interacts with different versions of himself throughout the timeline. And like I said, the Golden Age for the Justice Society has been reestablished. In issue number 3, we see a reference to All-Star Comics, issue number 35. And I've seen some creators say that the Silver Age and the Golden Age are set on separate Earths, but there's an easy answer for that. For the Golden Age, we know that Justice Society of America is set on the main DC universe. With issue number 6, we see Huntress, who is from a broken timeline in the future, come back and she's talking to the main DC universe Batman, and they reference Gotham War that's going on right now. As for the Silver Age, we have World's Finest comic as well as World's Finest Teen Titans, both set during the Silver Age. And if you're saying that they're part of a separate timeline, World's Finest Comics introduced Nezda, who then made an appearance in Batman vs. Robin. The second thing to confirm that they are not separate Earths is if you read Dark Crisis Big Bang One-Shot, Barry is mapping out the multiverse. And for Earth 1, it is the young JLA, variants just starting out. Some people would say this is Silver Age. However, if you read underneath, it says Superman Earth 1, a reference to the Earth 1 graphic novels. And in Earth 2, it says the Justice Society of America, which some people would say, well, those are the Golden Age stories. But if you notice, it says the New 52. They are, of course, referencing Earth 2's graphic novel series and the Justice Society, or Earth 2 Society, that showed up first in the New 52 on a separate Earth. all of which can be seen in the Multiverse Guidebook. And the funny thing is if you match up the DC Multiverse Guidebook and its Earths and its listings with the Big Bang one-shot list, they all line up correctly. The biggest change is there is more than just 52 Earths now. When you look at DC's multiversal history, and I'm going a little off topic here, but there is the multiverse, which are worlds that are created among themselves. Originally there were 52, however, now there are infinite. And then you have hypertime, which each Earth has hypertime, which are branching timelines caused by time travel. It is hypertime in which the Flashpoint universe now exists. It is not its own Earth on the multiverse map, but rather an extension of hypertime. Like I said, this continuity map that Grayson made says it all. DC's history is the post-crisis era, New 52, Rebirth, and everything onward is canon. And post-crisis consists of Bronze Age, Silver Age, and modern stories. In addition to that, the Golden Age stories for the Justice Society of America are part of the main DC continuity. However, the Golden Age stories for the likes of Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Robin, so on and so forth, are not canon. Just the Justice Society. What I would recommend to people is stop latching on to whatever interpretation you have of this statement, because regardless of what this statement has said, what matters is what is in the books, which we have seen since Dawn of DC, references to the Silver Age, the Bronze Age, New 52, Golden Age, Modern Era, and Rebirth, and everything in between. Hell, we have comics set in the Silver Age, setting up ideas that are then explored in the current timeline. You don't need interpretation when the facts are there, when the references to these stories being part of these characters' history, and even having comics set during that time period as the characters' history are clear and evident. And listen, if you're a Marvel fan and you're worried that someone's going to reference silly-ass Silver Age shit like this for Superman or for any of the other characters, allow me to say this. Marvel has equal amount of silly shit that happened in their Silver Age. However, their Silver Age is still used by people who debate or discuss. It's because they know better than to take up silly shit like this as feats for characters. This is the product of its time. And like with all products, it gets modernized, updated, and viewed through a modern lens. Like honestly, if anyone tries to use Superman shooting rainbows out of his fingers or miniature version of himself out of his eyes, that person's probably not worth debating.